Summer, 1841, Central Florida. A young lieutenant named John T. Sprague was stationed at Fort Brooke in what is now downtown Tampa. Lieutenant Sprague kept journals, recording his experiences in the 8th Regiment of the U.S. Infantry. He described life in the rugged Florida territory and recorded the words of a captive Seminole chief, a leader he came to know, a leader named Coacoochee.
July 4th, 1841.
I get it. What is that?
No one answered this man.
What is that?
We knew that the cannon fire celebrated the freedom of 20 million Americans, but still, we kept silent. For this prisoner's only offense had been defending his home and the graves of his kindred.
Coacoochee Doash. I am Coacoochee. White soldiers call me Wildcat. I have led the war dance and sung the song of the Seminole.
Now this warrior chief bargained not only for his freedom, but for his life. On our 4th of July.
My feet are chained, but the head and heart of Coacoochee reaches out to his people. The great white chief says that only when my band comes in shall we again walk free in Arkansas. Take these sticks, here are 39 for each day. This, much larger than the rest with blood upon it, is the 40. If the others are thrown away, and only this remains. Say to my people that the setting sun of that day will shine upon the bodies of each of us, hanging in the wind like dogs, and only white men shall hear Coacoochee's last words.
The following day, Coacoochee's messengers started upon their solemn mission. They now had precious little time to convince their people to give up the fight, to join Coacoochee here at Fort Brooke, to agree to be moved to the west. If not, their brave leader would hang. I, Lieutenant John T. Sprague, United States Army, mark this day as my 3rd year with the 8th Infantry in this struggle. Ever since the federal government declared the intention of securing Florida, we have tried to relocate to Seminole.
The white men are as thick as the leaves in the hammock. They come upon us thicker every year. We have embraced this land. We have prospered here, and for this they hate us.
Day by day, public pressure increases on the Army to make Florida safe for new settlers and to deal with the Indian problem, for they have raided white farms, looted their possessions, taken their slaves.
You know, we have welcomed these people, the black men, women, and children who've come here escaping bondage. Many now live among us in harmony, but still the whites pursue them.
Month by month, slave chasers from Georgia and the Carolinas descend on Florida to track, seize, and return black runaways. These armed mercenaries hamper us in the pursuit of our duty.
By the order of Lord President Jackson, the Army has forced upon us a piece of paper, an order that our people must agree to be removed from our homes to the west. And why? So that the white settlers may steal our lands? Where's the justice in this? The white man said he was our friend, yet he told us to go from our land. He gave his hand in friendship, yet he had a snake in the other. We had no choice but to strike the snake.
6 years ago, in late December 1835, our troops, under the command of Major Francis Dade, marched from Fort Brooke on the Wilderness Road to reinforce the garrison at Fort King. That terrible day, 108 soldiers entered a pine forest north of the Coacoochee River.
We caught them by surprise as they marched through our land. Their sky blue jackets and white belts made the soldiers easy targets.
killed instantly.
We attacked fiercely. Our will was great. It could not stop us.
It's said the woods rang with war whoops. The crack of their rifles was like one incessant pealing bell.
By 4 o'clock, not a white man was left standing.
From that day on, the Indians' footsteps would be marked with desolation and blood. And so began this Seminole War.
20 sticks. The time passes quickly. Will my people agree to come in from the handles? Agree to end the suffering? My father always told me that I was made from the sands of Florida. The land I was upon, I loved. The Great Spirit gave me legs to walk on and eyes to see its promise. Rivers, forests, game. The sun shone to warm our crops. The moon brought back the spirits of our warriors, our fathers, wives, and children. When I was a boy, I hunted in these woods, first with a bow and arrow, and then with my rifle. I saw the white man afar off and was told he was my enemy. I could not shoot him as a wolf or a bear. Yet, by these he came upon me. Horses, cattle, fields he took from me. Oh, Godadons, this would not stand.
The Indians were indeed surrounded by crafty and scheming men, including our government agents who wronged them, and these wrongs made them vengeful. They have continued to take in fugitive slaves from plantations as spoils of war. They have befriended these Negroes and brought desolation upon many Florida farmers. Throughout this struggle, we soldiers have done our duty in a service without distinction or reward because we believe that the laws and habits of the white man, like the sea, must wipe away the footsteps of every Indian from the soil. In September of 1837, General Jessup offered to parley with Seminole leaders Osceola, Amafla, Coacoochee's father, and Coacoochee himself.
The general said he wished to parley, to talk peace with us. Our great leader, Osceola, shooting star among men and a warrior who matched the brave in battle, honored this general's word. But the general's tongue was forked. He lied and stung us.
Our actions that day were shameful and against every convention of war. Under a flag of truce, we took these Seminoles captive and imprisoned them in Fort Mary. Even then, in a stone cell, Coacoochee would not be subdued. He urged the entire group to escape. But Osceola had become stricken with malaria, too weak to fight any longer.
Sick as he was, our Osceola saw the fire in my eyes and the strength in my heart. He clasped my hand and told me to lead the Seminole people. Then I and others resolved to make our escape, died in the attempt. We had but a narrow slit above our small room through which we would have to squeeze. With knives we had hidden in our clothing, we worked the stone, chipping handholds to reach the opening above. Then on a moonless night, with a rope we had made, I climbed and slipped through, as did others. It took us 5 days, surviving only on roots and berries, but at last we rejoined our band at Coacoochee River. We knew the general would soon pursue us with more soldiers than we had ever seen. For this reason, our bands moved quickly to the south, to a place where the sawgrass stood tall, where the great Okeechobee Lake stood at our backs, where the mud and the water would be our ally. A place where we could take our revenge.
On Christmas Day, 1837, a force of 800 men under the command of Colonel Zachary Taylor entered the wetlands on the north shore of Lake Okeechobee.
Our encampment was behind a ridge of cypress. We could see out, but the enemy could not see in. We set our trap carefully.
Taylor's force reached the swamp, which separated them from the enemy 3/4 of a mile in breadth, being totally impassable for horse and nearly so for foot, covered with a thick growth of sawgrass 5 feet high and knee-deep in mud and water.
The white soldiers did not understand their swamplands and our hammocks. They moved slowly, weighed down by their uniforms and their weapons. With our guns notched into trees, hidden, covered in moss, we waited, silent.
Colonel Taylor ordered a frontal assault. Our forces outnumbered the Seminoles 3-1, but our first rush through the swamp was nearly suicidal.
They struggled into range, our sworn enemy. Aho, Legend. Aho, Legend. Closer, closer still, 30 paces from us, 20 paces. And then we gave the order. Fire!
The Missouri volunteers, their colonel, and 3 officers all cut down in their tracks.
We fired now. Our weapons hot.
True 5th Infantry caught in a bloody inferno. 200 men, 80 of them badly wounded.
Still, the soldiers pressed forward.
The 4th Infantry assailed the Cypress Ridge, but at a terrible price.
We fired now at close range. So close, muzzle blasts burned our faces. We had fought hard. We fought well this day. Now Okeechobee would carry us to safety.
By 3 o'clock, the battle was done. Colonel Taylor claimed victory. Yet in truth, our losses were so great that this battle at Okeechobee changed the tactics of our war with the Seminoles from then on.
Many soldiers pursued us, but in smaller groups now. As we had so many times before, we attacked swiftly, then disappeared to fight again. Yet still they came, to our hammocks, to our camps, to our hiding places. They stalked us like jackals. They set fire to our crops, shot our cattle, killed any who resisted. To make a noise was to be discovered. So our wounded women suffered. In silence, our harvests were destroyed. The people weakened.
We would not rest, nor show restraint now. We were resolved to end this war at all costs, for it had already eclipsed all other struggles between white and Indian peoples in years fought, money spent, and lives lost.
Our fatherless children no longer played. The pangs of hunger cut them deep. I could not let this last.
The army recaptured Coacoochee on June 4th, 1841. We knew he must persuade his people that removal was their only option, the only way to end their slow but total destruction. For him, the war was over. But would he live? Or would he die? When told that his warriors were all in camp, Coacoochee's spirits changed. The bold leader with his lofty tread took the place of the humble captive.
The whites are now too strong. They come by land and in boats. Why should our women and children suffer any longer? We will go to the west.
Thus was Florida relieved, the most formidable Indian chieftain and the most desperate band that ever sought shelter in her hammocks and swamps. So these emigrants set sail upon what to them was a boundless sea, for a country they knew not where. As the boat receded, Coacoochee was seen, standing upon the stern sheets of the vessel, speaking as if to the Great Spirit.
I'm looking at the last pine tree upon my land. I'm leaving behind the spirits of my ancestors, friends. I am alone. I'm going to my new home in Arkansas. I'm leaving Florida forever. I have done nothing to disgrace it.